that feeling of like feeling really sad because what you're leaving behind, but to in the same moment not only hope but a sense of like something feeling just right because you don't know where you're going, but it feels like your destiny is calling you or you're going there's potential.
So this is famously kind of inspired by your friendship with your friend Alberto, right?
That's right. Yeah, I was more sheltered. My family was more around me. I, certainly was more timid, even a little bit lazy. So I feel like he was this kind of chaser of passions. Every week there would be a new thing, and he was quite. His family wasn't as around, or they let him be free to do what he wanted a bit more. He had more of a contentious. He was kind of fighting more with his family, which I found kind of strange, but we were running around parts of Genova that we shouldn't have been probably as kids. I remember running a lot and like, sometimes running away from things. There needs to be a balance between autobiography, which is not what we're doing. And so we love to find the personal and the specific, but then you want to cross-reference it with your collaborator to allow it to go to that universal, right? I mean, I do feel that those wonderful personal stories do go to the universal, but I think, yeah, that those, it's good to double check and having the collaborators bring all these other things to it. It had to slowly show LUCA's expanding world. One of the challenges was that this one with the Vespas, because it's all created by Alberto's crazy ideas, it was so surreal and so fun that in some way it was kind of hard to top it with Julian's, which was, so we went bigger in scope and the universe felt right. But I was just wondering, I had moments where I was like, well, this one's kind of hard to be because we made these crazy things up, right? From Alberto. I mean, that's what's fun, right? That LUCA is actually, his imagination is activated with these crazy things he's been told. And so, yeah, that was really, but you're absolutely right. That shows us inside the head of the quiet kid, Like there's something visually interesting about that. And it speaks to the edge of the known, that we're afraid of what we don't know. That's what's fascinating about maps, right? And especially when the edges of maps. I love the edge of science, the edge of what we don't know, because that's where imagination can fill in. Yeah, that kind of got me a bit thinking about, oh, maybe there's a changeling that is a sea monster. So the basic idea of a changeling didn't come from the maps, but actually came more for folklore, like Japanese folklore, as the tanukis or the foxes that can look human, or the selkies from Ireland have, can transform from seals to, I guess mostly ladies, women. So it's like, that's a bit what I've always been fascinated with, those things of like, well, is that person or just a person, or is there's a whole other side? Is that can they, shapeshift in some way? You're really looking for contrast, right? It's a wonderful tool. So there's a little floatiness in the underworld. We wanted to feel difference between the underwater and above water. We even captured some camera in the pool to get a little bit of a flow. Very, very subtle flow. It's all about contrast, right? And so we also slowly felt like, well, we're going to go toward a more active camera in the third act. So we were quite conscious of that. We also wanted a little bit of contrast once we're in the dreams, and we allowed those cameras to be a little bit more fluid. Another thing that happened, and this is like, sometimes necessity becomes, the mother of all inventions. And I just say that because like we were under pandemic and we didn't know if we could finish the movie. And we got to a point where like, the only way to make sure that we can make this movie in time is like limit the shot number. So from our storyboards to our final movie, we cut a couple of hundred shots. So that became actually this wonderful blessing in disguise, because it makes you kind of go like, well, do you need that extra shot? I don't think so. We can do this in one. And so it actually, I felt there was a great thing of like, it's like, what is the most, it made you think a lot about what is the most important thing? And can this be done in one instead of two? Aren't those friendship amazing? Which, well, yeah, they're amazing. They help us grow up, right? They do so much for us. But isn't it sad that we often have to kind of carry them with us as we go our separate ways into our destinies, you know, in different paths very often. We had to separate in our way to grow even a step further. That feeling of like together, feeling really sad because what you're leaving behind, but to in the same moment, not only hope, but a sense of like something feeling just right, because you don't know where you're going, but it feels like your destiny is calling you, or you're going there's potential. And so that became something of like, no, this is what, you know, if I do this other story, won't have this, and I don't know what we're saying about friendship. So I felt like that gave me a lot of confidence to try to just like, this is the movie I want to make.